Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 17th lesson in the intermediate course. Time is flying, and we're going to talk about time in the verbs and grammar section when we talk about conditionals. And so we're going to get right into it. We've got a very important lesson to cover today dealing with grammar and second conditional. This is what I'm going to spend most of the time on. I'm going to try to help you understand the difference between the second conditional and the first conditional. And I'm going to start right in. So here we have, I hope you can see this little note I've made here. I'll read it in a second. So we have here, Vivian, I'm just going to go right to the phrase. It's right here. If I had the money, I'd move out immediately. If I had the money, I'd move out immediately. So if I had, past tense, I would. Would is the conditional. So what's the difference between that and this? Look at this. This is the first conditional. If I find a job, oh, wait. If I had the money, so if I find a job, I'll move out. So here's the difference. If I find a job, because you're looking, if I find a job, I will move out. So there is a possibility this can happen because you can find a job, especially if you're looking. So first conditional, it's in the present and then the future. If I find, present, I will move out. Future, first conditional, because it might happen. Second conditional, it won't happen, but it is in the present. But the way we say things won't happen in the present is by moving the tenses back. If I had the money, I don't. So it's in the past, which tells the reader, I don't have the money. I'd move out, but I don't have the money, so I won't move out. So first conditional, present tense. If I find a job and have money, I will move out, present, future. Second, because it's realistic. Second conditional, not realistic. So we talk about the present in the past. That suggests that it's unreal because you normally don't talk about the present in the past. If I had the money, I'd move out. Let's go ahead and look at a different one. If I lived on my own, I'd pay the rent. You don't live on your own. I'd have to pay the rent, so you don't have to pay. If I lived on my own, but I don't. Now watch, if we want to create a first conditional, I put it up here. I hope you can see it. If I live on my own, I'll have to pay rent. That means you're considering moving out from your parents or of your parents' place. If I live on my own, I'll have to pay rent. I might do it. I'm looking this summer. So if I live on my own, I'll have to pay rent. Obviously, you can't live for free. Next, if they weren't, I wouldn't live with them. If they weren't, meaning they are, because they weren't is conditional. It's not true. So if they weren't isn't true, it means they are. They are what? They are good to me. My parents are good people. If they weren't, I wouldn't live with them, meaning they are, so I live with them. That's tricky. So you might have to review that one a little bit. Here's how we do that in the first conditional, meaning this is a possible true scenario. If they aren't good, so if they act bad at some point, I will not live with them. I will move out. So this could happen. If we have a fight, I will move out. That is a first conditional, meaning it might happen. I'd get on with them better, even better if I didn't live at home. Here we have if is in the second part, and the main clause is in the first section. So if I didn't live at home is second, so let's just read it backwards. If I didn't live at home, I'd get on with them even better. But in these types of phrases, you can switch them. I'd get on with them even better if I didn't live at home. It means both, they mean the same. No difference. How would we say this in first conditional? Let's see. I will get on well with them if I don't live at home. Meaning, I'm thinking of moving out and I'm sure we'll get along really well. Now, the focus of today's lesson is on the second conditional. And I'll just tell you, one of the exercises is so you're going to decide if it's a first or second conditional. That's in this one. And so what I've been discussing is going to help you with B. Let's just take a look. I'll stay with my sister. We have future. We automatically know that it's first conditional because it's future and present. Here we have present. If I have to go to London, I will stay with my sister. So I might go to London. My boss hasn't told me yet. He'll let me know next week whether I have to go or not. If I go, I'll stay with my sister. So it's a possibility. But if I said, if I were in London, I would stay with my sister. But if I lived in London, if I lived in London, I would live or stay with my sister. This is in the past, which tells me, if someone's telling me that, they don't currently live in London and they don't plan to live in London. If I lived in London, I would stay with my sister. But I don't live there, so I won't stay with her. Let's do this one. I'd buy, here's would, so that tells us second conditional. If I had, past tense, so second conditional, talking about the present in an unlikely, unreal scenario. I'd buy my new flat if I had enough money. I'd buy my own flat if I had enough money. I don't have enough money now, so I won't be buying a flat. So, all right, that hopefully will help you with B. This is not easy. All right, let's just go through it just one more time. I'm going to read these. I want you to repeat after me. I'm going to be audio file 715. So I'm going to read it. You're going to read it. Start to get comfortable with conditionals. If I had a job, I'd get my own flat. This means currently I don't have a job and I don't have my own flat. If David spoke good English, he could get a job in that new hotel. It means David doesn't speak well, so he probably won't get the job. Now, what you could do is this. If you want to do first conditional, because let's say I'm talking to you and you all are studying English. If David improves his English, he'll get a job at that new hotel. If David improves first conditional, he can do it. It's up to David. He has to work hard, but it's possible. If David improves his English a little, he'll get a job or he could get a job, or he will get a job at the new hotel. So it's very possible. So that's first conditional. Now here we go to the third example. I would get on better with my parents if I didn't live with them. Next, I wouldn't do that job unless they paid me a really good salary. Next, number 2, after if we can use was or were. If your sister were here, she'd know what to do. If it was warmer, we could have a swim. So here we can use was or were. In these scenarios, you can use was a lot, but when you use I, it's better to use were. If I were you, I'd buy a new computer. I'm not you. It's impossible to be you. That's why it's second conditional. If I were you, I will never be you. So it's second conditional. If I were you, and you can't have a first conditional because there's no way I will be you. If I am you, we don't say that. If I am you, I mean, you can use it in first conditional construction, but it means the same as the second conditional. It's literally or technically impossible to be someone else. All right. I hope that's clear. You can review it and you've got the exercises to practice. Now, let me just say something. Just a reminder, we don't use will in the if side. So in the first conditional, we would never say if I will go on holiday. We don't say will on the if. If I go on holiday, that's in the first conditional. Obviously, in second conditionals, we're only using the past simple. Now, between first and second, I've already explained that a lot. These two you want to just look at, but we use would in the second conditional. I would. If I were you, I would. And then we have more differences. All right, you've got quite a bit of homework here. Take it seriously. And then we've got some interesting vocabulary dealing with houses. This is so relevant. Please take time to do this exercise well. We've got this exercise right here. Vocabulary with houses right here at the bottom. Where people live. This is not easy. In the country, not the nation. In the country means outside the city. So a country is like England, but that's not what they mean. They live in the country means outside the city. In the outskirts, sorry, I'm giving you the answers. Outskirts are in the suburbs, the outer edge of the city. So those are two. Suburb, it's the same thing. Suburb, outskirts. Actually, it's slightly different, but more or less the same. They're on the edge of the city. Outskirts, on the edge. Suburbs, either on the edge or just outside the city. All right. Great exercise here. I like this exercise. In fact, we have a few things here. Chimney and fireplace, just to show you. If you can see here, I'm circling. That is a fireplace. Now, do you see this part that's going up? That is the chimney. And then the smoke comes out of the house. A chimney is different from the fireplace. So you want to know that. Sometimes chimney is a false friend. It doesn't mean fireplace. And then, especially for Spanish or Latin speakers, Spanish speakers, roof and ceiling are different. Inside the house, in the room, I'm looking at the ceiling. That's a ceiling. Outside the house, where the water hits, is the roof. Practice this word because it's difficult. Roof. Dogs go rough, rough. On the house, you have roof. Roof. Very difficult word to pronounce. So you've got a lot of exercises related to housing and houses. And finally, just a few words of explanation for these. An extensive tour is a very long. So we went 3 weeks in a motorhome. That's an extensive tour. We traveled to all 50 states. That's an extensive tour. By the way, there are 50 states in the US. Rehearsed, we sometimes rehearsed. Rehearse means practiced, but rehearsing is practice for musicians. Sports, you have practice, you don't rehearse, but musicians rehearse. So it's just a different, same meaning, different words. Curtains and cushions. We sit on cushions in a chair so that it's not so hard. And curtains are what you close at night so people don't look in, or to block the sun. And finally, a photo shoot. We might know this because it's international maybe. That's when you take photos for a photographer. You generally have to pay for it unless you're a model. A top model never pays for a photo shoot. All right. I don't know that for a fact because I've never been a top model, but I've heard it. I hope that you enjoy this lesson. Study well, study hard, and see you soon. Let me go ahead and I'm going to take this off to say goodbye in full screen. Bye-bye, everybody.